But don't be misled by this bad example. Most of the rest of you have to earn your Fernet.
Yes,
I'm asking
that's right.
a decent question. And do we have a decent question in the mix?
Decent, holy question that is clean.
Over this tremendous water.
Question is a little bit elaborate.
Funny, would you say? Elaborate.
Unusual. Dear Dr. Hal.
Yes?
Now, I don't officially approve of this. I'm just reading this as it appears on the page.
You're covered.
Can you tell that enchanting story about Michael Peppe having a heart attack in your house?
Yeah.
But important note, in the bottom it says, an extra $10 for you, Hal, if you can tell the story without being interrupted by Michael Peppe.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not so certain that is possible. If you could only restrain your natural bounding impetuosity to interleave this story, particularly a story about you. Well, you know, when you had that heart attack,
Yes.
We had to call the paramedics, and
Yes.
shall I really tell this?
Yeah.
It's a sad tale of degradation.
Yeah.
Sordid, sick tale.
Not a good story to tell at the dinner table, I must say.
Detail.
Well, I'll rip through it rapidly because $10 are hanging in the balance. And just bite your tongue until it's through. That's the time you can come in and correct any inaccuracies of fact in the story. But basically what happened was an addition to my usual Thursday evening. People who've invited me to things out on a Thursday often receive refusal from me, and that's because my Thursday evenings are locked down. There are things that I have to do, and about 12:45 a.m. I receive my guests who have arrived from far Petaluma to drive me to the Puzzling Evidence radio show, which begins at 3 a.m. on listener-sponsored KBFA 94.1 on your radio dial.
Right, folks.
With KPFB in Berkeley and KFCR in Fresno, but I have to stop doing that because we're on pirate radio now.
That's right.
We're on FCC-free radio, so ignore all those other call letters. Of course, I will not get a fine because it's FCC-free radio. Yes.
By the way, just let's hear it for FCC free radio, ladies and gentlemen. Your voices will be heard over the airwaves.
Yes, Michael Peppe has interrupted the story. I forfeit the $10 unless I choose this to be the beginning of the story, and you keep mum. If you can just restrain your tongue, and I know how hard that is. This question is fiendishly designed to test the both of us, to test my powers of forbearance and recollection, and yours of trying to correct the historical record. Let me try to be faster. So this Thursday evening was happening, and Michael Peppe came over because he too wanted to ride over to the radio station, and he brought himself a beer along. He said he'd had only the one beer. Well, he only had one beer in his hand. But one thing that we do at these occasions, besides watch endless cartoons on TV, is smoke marijuana. Yes, we smoke it. Shh, 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 quiet. And we smoked powerful marijuana. Very powerful. So powerful that soon a percolating effect was sensed by Mr. Peppe in his internal regions. Yes, he felt distinctly unwell. And suddenly he rose and galloped into the bathroom where sounds of retching were heard. You know, I feel that if someone is being sick, the last thing he needs is someone standing over him, sharing in a humiliating episode, so I figured just let him be sick. But the sounds went on and on. They did continue, and they seemed to be going from room to room. And when I finally investigated, I found, yes, Michael Peppe had been sick. I was correct there. Yes, he had raced into the bathroom. We have two bathrooms. One contains the bathtub. The other contains the water closet. He rushed into the wrong one. Then he searched for the light switch, but that's hard to find if you don't know how. So first some went on the floor by the bathtub. Very little made it in the bathtub. But still searching for the bathroom while he erupted in upheaval, he ran into the next room, but he couldn't find the light switch there either. So a sea of vomitus soon covered the floor in the WC, in the hall between the WC and the bathroom, in the bathroom. And finally, I was inspired to investigate and see what was happening. I was told by a tormented-looking Michael Peppe, "I'm having a heart attack. Call the paramedics." And I did say, to my discredit, "Are you sure you're having a heart attack?" But yes, he was sure. And folks, if your friend thinks he's having a heart attack, you call the paramedics. You don't say, "Well, I'm not sure he is having a heart attack. I'm not gonna..." No, you have to call them. And so I called them, and so they came over, and they came in with their tanks and equipment and tubes and medical paraphernalia, and they were asking him questions like, "Can you describe your symptoms?" And he was saying, "Well, I feel a certain emptiness inside me." He said, "Well, yes, but what do you? Could you be a little more? Could you be a little more precise here? All your signs read you're perfectly normal." "Well, it feels like there's nothing inside me." And you know, one look at the floor, and you could see he was telling the truth. So, to skip through the rest of the particulars, the paramedics were disgruntled, and they told us that. And then they left, and then for the next 45 minutes after Michael left, I was cleaning the floor, and then it was time to go to the radio show. After cleaning up the meal from the floor, pizza was the most striking ingredient of it. I didn't much feel like eating, but my friends wanted to go to the all-night Mexican burrito parlor. And they asked me if I'd like a burrito. I told them emphatically no, but they're kind enough to give me a ride. So, off to the burrito parlor we go. And as I sit in the car, watching my friends get a burrito, I see that ahead of them in line, there's a certain Michael J. Peppe getting a large jumbo burrito to fill up the emptiness, I suppose. And now I have told the story, and you know, except for muffled interjections, he did not interrupt. Now that I'm finished, he can add any adumbration to this tale that he likes, and I will still receive the $10. $10.
No, I would merely add that the emptiness of which I spoke so eloquently to the ambulance personnel was an existential
A slow
emptiness.
ambulance to China.
It was a Sartrean emptiness. You might call it a nausea.
Who wanted me to tell that story?
I don't know.
Sorry if it wasn't all that entertaining.
For $10 you get, have yourself a Fernet.
Have a delicious Fernet rum.
Should I be pouring them?
And we are also going to award you on this time, Flaubert or Blubber. Blubber or Flaubert? Blubber.
He's gone for the blubber, all right. Should I send the Church of the SubGenius money, or would that make me a pink dupe?
You know, I would love to answer with candid confidentiality, but this show's going out on the radio and over YouTube, and I already once made the mistake on the extinct TNN network of saying that a real SubGenius wouldn't send in the money. And you know, some SubGeniuses would send in the money because their SubGenius-dom involves in actually following all the silly rules and regulations. I think we try to recognize a SubGenius, but certain people simply are, and there's no denying that they are. Certainly, there is nothing to be despised in sending in the valuable contributions which support our enterprise.
And of course, all SubGenii know from an early age that they are somehow different from the others.
Yes,
a mutant.
We won't go into the anatomical differences, but you have put it succinctly.
Yes. Yeti is a purely rural legend, as is Loch Ness.
Sasquatch is shy, and so is the Loch Ness Monster. And believe me, if we allowed science to get them, they wouldn't last long.
Oh, terrible. Yes, we won't.
Yeti would have to go to the Federal Abominable Snowman Research Center in Langley, Virginia, and would never emerge. And and the Loch Ness Monster would be stressed out of its reproductive cycle by the eager peepers of the avalanche of tourists, which it may be already, which is why it's so seldom seen.
Well, that's also Yeti, as they're called, is also is the ancestor of all SubGenius.
It is the partial ancestor, according to the philosophy of Zermatism, created by early prototypical SubGenius thinker Stanislaus Zukalski. But the curious thing about that is Zukalski thought that the Yeti infusion in the human bloodline created dictators, brutes, and ape-like thugs. But now that we know that apes are rather admirable when left to their own devices, we SubGeniuses believe that instead of producing Mussolini, they produce a Janer Hypercleats or something like that. A SubGenius, in other words. A Michael Peppe. A Dr. Hal.